The previous sequence from Andor Episode 6, The Eye, was all about the strain of disguise. The rebels put on Imperial uniforms, took up Imperial radios, and borrowed Imperial language, but it kept reminding us that costume can only do so much. This is the thematic pressure this scene inherits and deepens, because now the same thing is happening everywhere. Everybody is in role, everybody is performing, and everywhere the truth underneath keeps showing through. It opens in Beehaz's quarters, and the first thing it does is show us Empire as household theatre. The great Commandant Beehaz is fussing over a sash. His son is being dressed, his wife is helping, or rather being conscripted into helping, and the whole mood is already sour. The Empire is forever trying to present itself as composed, orderly, ceremonially intact. It wants the evening to look correct. The Commandant must look correct. The family must look correct. Even the child must be turned into part of the display. So when Beehaz complains that the sash was not stored properly, that it has all been compressed, Roboda answers, "Perhaps you've expanded." It's such a merciless line because it punctures the whole performance in one go. He wants a problem with the object, and his theory is ludicrous. She points to the man. It reminded me of Robert Baratheon sending a terrified squire running for his breastplate stretcher. The scene tells you exactly what kind of authority he is. He's clearly an abuser. The poisonous look he gives her is the reaction of somebody whose image of himself has been challenged in a room where he expects automatic deference. Straight away, the domestic space starts echoing the previous scene's larger pattern. Beehaz is dressed like command, but the reality showing through is vanity, brittleness, and a marriage full of contempt. Then Leonart refuses the blouse. "I'm not wearing that." I think it's freaking hilarious that they went with the word blouse. I'm not sure there's a single better chosen word in the entire show. I expect he's also wearing garters. It brings to mind Ron Weasley's dress robes. I wouldn't want to wear it either, but the emotional logic is much nastier than that. He is being costumed into Imperial continuity. Beehaz wants the son properly dressed inside the family image of authority. Leonart is being asked to perform rank by inheritance, so when he says, "Mother, I don't feel well," and Roboda says he might have a fever, Beehaz cuts straight through both of them. "You'll make an effort tonight if it kills you." Feeling is irrelevant, truth is irrelevant, your body itself is secondary if the schedule requires display. Leonart may or may not be actually ill, he reads more as a spoiled, sulking child than a genuinely sick one, but I don't read Roboda as lying about the fever either. Maybe the boy knows the old head on the radiator trick. But it doesn't matter, the father does not care either way. The child is not being treated as a child, he's being treated as part of the evening's presentation. When Beehaz says he wants everyone on their best behaviour, she answers, "I look forward to seeing that." It's such a dry, lethal line. She is not having an argument with him in the usual sense, but she is exposing him. He wants to stage an evening of Imperial dignity, and she keeps reminding us that the man at the centre of that dignity is vulgar, threatening and small. Beehaz is in full costume, and reality is already leaking through all over him. Then the scene moves back out to the hill. The disguised rebels are still in role, still folded into the machinery of Imperial order, but the truth underneath keeps pressing at the edges. Gorn halts the company, Taramin halts the squad. One of the real Imperial squaddies glances over with a half-formed suspicion, not enough to identify the danger, just enough to register that something's a bit off. He glances at one of his squad mates but doesn't speak up. I think that's a really realistic moment. Think of it like this. We're all warned not to let people tailgate through our office doors, but we all do it. In retrospect, that weird guy that followed you in earlier was obviously up to no good, but what did you do about it? How many of us actually confront him or raise the alarm in that moment that it matters? We think, nah, probably fine, and then it usually turns out it was fine. This guy's thinking, well, no one else has noticed, what am I meant to do? Speak up and tell Gorn these guys are fake Alkenzi guys? What if I sound crazy? Probably nothing, they're just hungover or something. Then Gorn speaks to the Dhani leader in their own language. You look well for such a long journey. The leader answers, may the eye stay open long enough to find some good within you. There's a positive way to read that and a nasty one. I think it's the latter. I think the unspoken part is, and the eye will never be open that long. Which is even harsher once you remember goat herder Walter White here doesn't believe the thing ever closes. We've no idea if he knows of Gorn and the Dhani woman, I suspect so, but the line works either way. Vel and Cinta are now in full underwater gear, moving into the next phase of the plan. Outwardly, they are the most functionally prepared people in the sequence. They have equipment, route, timing, and task. Their pure action being propelled under the water, climbing the ladder, sprinting around on top of the dam, giving me N64 GoldenEye flashbacks. But then when the moment actually comes, when Cinta says call them and Vel has to be the one who commits the operation to its next irreversible step, the reality underneath shows itself. She hesitates. She is the leader, yes. She is also the person whose body now has to obey the plan. All of the operational calm in the world does not erase the fact that she is about to fling herself down the side of a dam in the middle of a heist. Meanwhile, Nemik gets a nice little payoff to the earlier Dawn conversation with Cassian. You were right, I'm not tired at all. It captures the moment anxiety flips into adrenaline. In the previous scene, Nemik could not sleep because belief was not calming him. Now the eye is beginning overhead, the heist is in motion, and his body is crossed into exhilaration. But even here, his real self still leaks through the role. He cannot help saying it, he cannot help gawking like a child and speaking from awe and feeling. Taramin instantly snaps back, tighten up. In other words, stop being yourself out loud, stay inside the part. Gorn assigns the squads their tasks, singling out 3 to escort the officers back to the base. The other squads won't even consider this suspicious because squad 3 are the unlucky ones. They have to go back and work. 1, 2 and 4 get to watch the eye, share a flask or 2 and maybe even meet a local woman, because that's going to go great. Before we get there though, the scene gives us Beehaz again making a joke about how thoroughly he has converted someone else's sacred exchange into his own bureaucratic categories. A lease, a smell, a skin. He can only process what is happening by flattening it. He wants the entire evening reduced to terms he recognizes: transaction, inconvenience, performance and reward. He talks about a sacred exchange the way someone talks about sitting through a dull presentation before drinks. That flattening effect is the point. He has turned a people's ritual into one more irritating obligation in his evening schedule. Above the stench is not just racism or colonial contempt, it's class disgust. He wants separation from bodies, labor, smell and proximity. He wants refinement on one level and everyone else kept lower down. At the same time, the heist is showing us another side of the same truth. Imperial order looks solid from the outside and is full of human blind spots within. The Kimsey beat on the dam is part of that. Some small procedural thing has gone wrong. The squad cheesing it across the dam were waiting for a call they should not have needed. Kimsey is annoyed because they are relying on instruction when they should already know the drill. I took too long thinking about these guys and what the show wanted us to take from this moment, and then I realized it doesn't. They're not the focus here. That moment is there to show us Kimsey as a risk. He's conscientious, he's serious about his work, he's a hall monitor. In a base full of people who can't show initiative or speak up when they sense something's wrong, Kimsey sticks out as a risk factor. He's got a little bit of Cyril's zeal and his belief that things need to be done right. If he's more competent than Cyril, he could be dangerous. That's why Vel slipping past Kimsey feels wildly precarious. He could have turned his head. He didn't. The machine could have noticed the truth outside his field of vision. It didn't. The Empire fills the valley with structures, uniforms, rules, sentries, schedules and comms, and still it remains vulnerable to the fact that people cannot see everything at once. I can't shake the fact, to be honest, that this is another hole in the plan. Kimsey was at his station where Gorn told him to be, and Vel and Cinta were just supposed to run along the top and hope? Back in the valley, even Beehaz himself seems to sense there's something odd about the new squad, but he doesn't listen to the little itch telling him something doesn't add up. He's thinking about dinner and all the things he'll say to impress Petagar. The Dhani leader says tell him our ghosts have strong hands and long memories. It takes everything Beehaz has been trying to do to this culture and sweeps it aside in one stroke. He thinks he is attending a bit of ceremonial nonsense. The leader is telling him that the past is not gone, that memory is not passive, that the dead are not decorative and history is not over. The land remembers, the people remember, the injury remembers, the tree remembers. And Gorn translates it as, may the eye find the good in all of us. Gorn is still acting as Imperial translator, but he is no longer faithfully serving Imperial understanding. He softens the line, domesticates it, finds Beehaz something that will keep the ceremony moving and the commandant complacent. And all the while, Vel is still there on the top of the dam, still struggling through that final moment of commitment. Cinta says, Vel. Taramin calls over the radio. Vel finally steadies herself and says, go, we go. Finally, after all the prep, all the build-up, the heist is on. The previous scene showed us disguise under strain. This one shows an entire evening built on disguise, from the rebel uniforms to the family finery, to the ritual politeness, to Gorn's translations, to Beehaz's assumption that his authority is real because it is being ceremonially acknowledged. But at every level the truth keeps showing through, a bully inside the sash, a warning inside the blessing, a traitor inside the officer, panic inside the leader, memory inside the ceremony, a heist inside the machinery. This scene feels like the last few seconds before a photograph is taken, when everyone is still trying to hold the pose. Beehaz wants the family arranged correctly, the officers want the ritual completed correctly, even the rebels for a little longer have to stay inside the pose. But underneath all of that choreography, the next reality has already started. The heist is no longer a plan, it's happening, and the Empire? They're still arranging the photograph while a different reality is already happening just outside of the frame.